the issue, I think, is this iterative process, and how do we make it fun? How do we make it fun and enjoyable, and keep on doing it? Because if you take your friend the surfer, if he gave up after the third one, he wouldn't have gotten there. Probably was a long time. So I like this principle of it. It's really about it, and I will make another vote for my lowbrow creativity. It's not that you sit there and you imagine the universe and the equation, and you say, I'm going to try. The same way that evolution works, ideas work as well. I'm going to try, see what works, it doesn't work, try and get quick feedback and get better. I love that.
Yeah, I talk about in the book a bunch of educators who are gamifying the education process, and they're doing very, very well because it works, right? It's that instant feedback. Plus, it gives you brag points, right? Look, I did really good on this assignment. How did you do? Oh, I got a 98. Well, I got a 97. And it's kind of cool, right? It's something that people, I think, enjoy socializing about.
So let me challenge that view. I love that view, but let me challenge it. And the challenge is that if you try a lot, you'll also fail a lot. How are the people in your book, and what do you give advice about not taking the failure too much to heart and just stopping?
I think we as a society are falling in love with social media. Why? Because we look on there and we see somebody's success. Look, they're doing really well. Look at this academic in Duke. He's got a Bugatti. Like that's the class I want to take, right? The guy has a Bugatti. I want to be in that guy's class. I think we've lost that
By the
sense.
way, what's the car? What's the car behind you? The little car in the back there, the green one?
Yeah, I think that's Aston Martin.
Okay.
This is as close as I can get to an Aston Martin, Dan.
We'll get you to sell more books, Will.
Thank you.
Hopefully.
I need a professorship at Duke in order to get to the next level at one of the schools. Anyway, the point is that I think we're falling in love with the end result instead of the process. And social media has elevated that to levels that have been just unprecedented in human history. I think we used to be able to see, hey, somebody's going through something, they're struggling. The shop corner in 1915 or whatever, the guy's grinding it out, right? He's there every day and on Sundays, and he's restocking, and she's doing this, and they're working as a family. Now you just see the end result. And I think it's short wired something in our thinking to want the easy, the simple, the straightforward, rather than to see that process. So I think we've lost that sense of iteration, that sense of what it takes to get there.
So
What do you think?
what advice would you give me to say, go ahead and try, and failing is part of it, and it doesn't have to be successful, and you don't have to post every one of your trials to TikTok? And what advice, like, if you look at all the creative types you talk to and all the lessons you got from them, what is the lesson about dealing with failure? If it's an iterative process, it just means there's lots of failure. How have they dealt with failure?
I think when you look at failure creatively, you'll see that it's really a bunch of new opportunities that have opened up. It's a way to shift your mindset from looking at a particular venture that you undertake and expecting the result before you even start. A lot of people, when they start something, they're already at the end expecting a photo to be ready for Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not true, right? When we start things,
Yeah.
the external stimulation will tell us, hey, maybe it's going a little left, maybe it's going a little right. And it's our job, I think, to keep track of those things and change the mindset that we view things. Instead of saying, oh, my business is a failure because I set out to start a pizza joint and the pizza joint is now selling more subs than its pizza. Am I a failure? No, I think we need to redefine how we look at failure.
Yeah, I tell you what I do in research. In research, we aim to fail about 50% of the time, at least in my lab. That's kind of the goal, right? Because if we aim to be successful 100% of the time, we'll do trivial stuff. That's the key way to be successful is do
Yeah.
trivial stuff, and then you know. And the way I try to reframe it is I say, how what have you learned from this process, rather about the outcome. So
Hmm.
if we think about your surfer friend as an example, the question is not, are you have you saved the coral reef yet? The question is, are you better? Are you more knowledgeable about what works and what doesn't work in coral reefs? It's not an easy framing, but it's an important framing.
Why do you think we're so hesitant to frame it like that? Why do you think we're hesitant to look at things in that light?
So, so there are three reasons, but I'll tell you about two for now. One is that we are predisposed to worry about the downsides. So think back to our evolutionary time. If things worked well, how good could it go? You went, you took a risk, you hunted a rabbit. It's quite good. You have food for a day or two. If things did not work out well and a tiger hunted you, how bad is that?
Really bad.
Really bad. So in our evolutionary history, the upsides were limited, the downsides were devastating, right? Game over very quickly, and there's no symmetry. There's no, you can, infinite loss, there's no infinite gain. There's no food forever. There's no, like, it's very, very, so nature got us to pay more attention to failure than to pay attention to success, because it used to be that failure was so devastating. Your friend who is the trying to save the coral reef, failing is, the expected value is positive. It's not negative. It's not our ancient history. Now, on top of it, social media is very frightening. Social media amplifies negativity. So I met with a school principal recently, and he told me the kids in his school don't take blame for anything, don't accept blame for anything. And I said to him, when you and I were about the same age, I said, when you and I were kids, if we accepted blame for something, two of our friends would know about it, and maybe our mother.
Right.
If the kids now accept blame, maybe the whole world would know about it in 2 weeks. The
Wow.
consequences is just much, much higher.
Wow.
Okay, but back to your book. Give me give me another piece of advice about creativity that you think applies the most to me.
The plan applied the most to you personally?
Yeah, yeah.
I love it. Um, okay, so here's something I think this is really cool. We did a study, and this came from my consulting work. I work with companies and stuff all over the country. Some great companies, some small businesses. And I got bought in one company that had a communication problem. They actually had silos. They're like, one department doesn't talk to the other. Figure it out, you know? So I spent months figuring out why one department is siloed from another. And what I uncovered, Dan, is that it was a communication issue, right? They were just weren't like one communication wasn't connecting with the other. They weren't on the same page. So I started saying, okay, what that's too cerebral a approach. Give me like practical what's going on. Okay, Nir, the guys in procurement won't email us back. Fine. Give me the last 10 emails you sent them. As a group, no, these three individuals, show me the last 10 emails in the Outlook. I want to see it now. And I look at the email, Dan, I kid you not. It's stuff like approve this now, comma, somebody's name. I need this thing yesterday without even a signature or nothing. And I said, guys, this is really weird. Something's going on in the language. So I had my research team go and kind of look at it. And what we found is that there's a 6-to-1 ratio of positive to negative words in the English language. So for every, and I think it ties exactly to what you were saying earlier. The upside wasn't that great, and the downside was devastating. So you had to develop a bunch of negative words. So for every great, there is horrible, bad, terrible, the worst, sucks, on and on and on and on. And we looked at it around the world. I think we studied something like 54 different languages. And we found between a 4-to-1 and a 20-to-1 ratio. in
Wow.
Western, in Eastern countries, in Southeast Asia, of positive to negative. It's the same in every language.